Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Matt.
Are you having a normal day after Christmas, or have you been watching a 9.5-hour video on Sam and Cat and had just stopped 2 hours and 30 minutes in to record a podcast?
I mean, I've certainly done that with like watching not old, but Twitch VODs of people playing a game for 5 hours and having to stop to do things.
Yeah.
So I certainly have done that. This sounds like H-Bomber guy level of video, though, in terms of how.
Oh, you mean the 4-hour video? That's Child's Play.
Right, yeah. Compared to 9 hours of Sam and Cat. How is it thus far? Anyway,
I mean,
for context too, who is this?
Okay, so Quinn Reviews. I came across Quinn Reviews a few years ago. I forget what videos I started with, but he had some really good videos on the History Channel. And his I think biggest claim to fame was a Forgotten Titans series where he went over like these YouTube people who didn't who like have been out of the public conscious for a long time, just to be like, hey, what the fuck happened to Tobuscus, you know?
Oh yeah, that's true. That's I do wonder whatever happened to that man.
He's a Nazi now.
Oh, I know that much. But I didn't know where else he had crawled, whatever rock he crawled into.
Yeah. But anyway, as he was making stuff, one of his biggest things, and one of my favorite series of his, is his History Channel stuff, which spun off into a Pawn Stars video, which is a great one. Just the culture around the show Pawn Stars and why Chumlee is a household name.
Right.
But in there he mentioned how Pawn Stars did a crossover with iCarly, and then he was like, I should make a video about iCarly someday. And then he made a four almost 5-hour long video about iCarly, and then decided to continue on and do basically stuff on so far iCarly, Victorious, and now Sam and Cat. And today's that he released today is 9 hours and 30 minutes long. It is as comprehensive of the culture of Nickelodeon sitcoms and all the weird stuff about it. And by comprehensive, I even mean like when things show up in fucking like Henry Danger, who no one's ever heard of unless you know shit about cartoons like or Nickelodeon shows. You know.
So 9.5 hours, that sounds like the length of all Sam and Cat episodes squished together.
So that's funny. There are about I think there's 36 episodes of Sam and Cat.
Okay.
Which would mean 18 hours. If you count, you know what? We'll say 22 minutes. We'll say 3 episodes makes an hour just for easy math. Yeah. It's a little bit more than an hour, but you know.
You know, I got you.
So that's 12 hours.
Yeah.
First Sam and Cat video was 5 hours. Second was 6.5. This one's 9.5. So you're looking at a 21 hours worth of Sam and Cat content. Now, not all of it is on Sam and Cat specifically.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But I'm telling you, if you have any sort of nostalgia or recollection or interest in old Nickelodeon sitcoms, fucking start with iCarly. I binged iCarly, and just have this be the TV show that you binge for a while, because you're gonna be watching it for a long time.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. I won't keep you long from that. From that video. We have a couple of pieces of business, and then I'll let you on your way. Here. Yeah. I definitely am. I definitely have not been watching a whole lot, obviously, because that's just who I am. But I have been playing a lot of games. And I've also been watching people play games. And I have been watching a VOD of someone playing Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Nice.
Good lord, that game's batshit. That game, I like. First of all, I've never played any of the Professor Layton games. I feel like I'd really love them, and I want to figure. I think the original trilogy is on mobile, and so I do want to play that. But this crossover between the two of them is completely unhinged. And it makes sense because both franchises are incredibly unhinged. As someone who has played the trilogy of Ace Attorney, that game is pretty out there. Apparently, Professor Layton's is even worse to some degree about how unhinged the plot can be at times. And then they just decide, hey, let's have a crossover between these two unhinged franchises, put them together, and have all the insane spectacle and just random character moments happen. And let me tell you, the twists in that game are baffling. They're just insane. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but it's also a 10-year-old game, so forgive me. I'm gonna just spoil just a plot point where the whole, like, fast forward a minute, where the whole world that they end up, the titular characters of these two franchises have been sucked into what they think is a medieval world. It turns out that they were not, that they were drugged, and then they were of the belief the entire time that magic was real, but then it turned out that magic was not real. But then that essentially completely blew everyone's minds, because we're like, then how the fuck did anything happen in this game? Like, it turns out you're like in this Truman Show situation, and that things to make the show work were like invisible, but how the fuck were they invisible when there's no magic? It's insane. It is just unhinged. And so, yes, I feel like both you and I are experiencing media at the moment that is either a comprehensive breakdown of the of shows, or just things that are just absolutely baffling decisions.
Yep.
In general. But I do want to go back and play Professor Layton. That's my takeaway from that. Anyways, that's what we're doing our Christmas break. Let's get into the show, where we're going to talk about the week 16 that was. We're going to talk about the week 17 ahead, and of course we're going to be getting our next team all set up for the VBBFL. It'll be our 6th team. And of course, we will first start with our game of the week this past week, which was pretty simple. Cowboys-Dolphins. I mean, I feel like there is maybe a couple of interesting games this week. It felt like a lot of blowouts at the same time.
Yeah.
But this one had the most intrigue at the end of the day. I know Ravens 49ers would have been that, but that ended up being a blowout. Cowboys seemed to have been able to come back, and we did Dak Prescott having this amazing drive, and it seemed that the Cowboys were poised to knock off the Dolphins, and the Dolphins to lose to yet another title contender. But this time, the Dolphins, just not in a most impressive way, but they were able to move down the field against the Cowboys defense, get into field goal range, and then Jason Saunders, who's had a pretty incredible season in general as a kicker, has once again kicked the field goal and got the Dolphins to the victory, and they are a win away from not only winning the AFC East, but also potentially taking the 1 seed, because this upcoming week the Dolphins are facing the Ravens,
which is awesome.
Yeah, so that's we have the Ravens are in back-to-back weeks of big time games. But that's where that game's at. Matt, did you get the chance to see any of this?
I did not.
Yeah, no, it was Christmas Eve. Yep.
Yeah,
yeah, having football on during Christmas Eve and Christmas made it really hard to watch football. I will say I did get to watch a good amount of it from the dining room of my aunt's and uncle's house, and it definitely felt like the Dolphins had a lot more control in this game than I expected. But then I think it seemed like the Cowboys came back, and made it a little bit more interesting. I definitely feel like after this, it does feel like the Dolphins are starting to. They're not as impressive as they were earlier in the year, but they are starting to get into a situation where, hey, they're going to be maybe more of a force to be reckoned with than we maybe anticipated going into the playoffs. It felt like they had already peaked, and maybe this time they are actually going to be able to play very well down the stretch here.
Maybe.
Blowout of the week. Turns out, the Steelers weren't dead, because the Steelers blew out the Bengals on Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, I guess. This was a surprising result. Could have been considered
crazy that Rudolph played a great game right before Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely.
He wanted to be part of those reindeer games.
He wanted to be part of the reindeer games. He was a it was definitely. I don't know. Like I feel like the Steelers have been such an odd team to pinpoint and understand this entire time, and it felt like they were finally reaching a point where, like, okay, here's the consistency. They suck. They lost like multiple straight games and were just a complete mess. And finally now it's like we were finally reaching the point where, like, okay, Mike Tomlin's finally gonna have a losing season. Like, this is just it. Nope, we're back. We're back to, the Steelers just being one win away from having a winning record this year, and still in the playoff conversation going into the second to final week of the season. I'm baffled by it. I'm also baffled by the Bengals completely blowing this game in the spot. But granted, they also lost in a similar fashion to the Steelers a couple weeks back, so maybe it's just the team. I don't know, but it absolutely hurt the Bengals' playoff chances here. To succeed. And finally, our chaos of the week goes to the Las Vegas Raiders, the Kansas City Chiefs, because the Las Vegas Raiders, for pretty much the majority of this game, felt like they were in control. And this
one I did watch. And my uncle had put not a lot of money, but had put some money down on Kansas City winning, and he was very upset the entire time.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, I think, look, the Chiefs have been on a downswing, and I did think about Team Chaosing the Raiders last week, but then I was like, oh no, I have to stick to the principle that I have set forth, is that I believe in the head coach the head coach firing bump, rather. But I really, I felt like the Raiders dropping a 60 bomb on the Chargers should have been sign enough that, oh, maybe the Raiders team is actually doing things. And now, more than anything, it feels like, at the very least, I don't think this team's making the playoffs, but they are, at the very least, maybe getting into a position to hire Antonio Pierce as a full-time head coach. If what we have seen is to be believed, and that he has just single-handedly turned this team around to being at least a lot more watchable and interesting compared to where we were when Josh McDaniels was leading this team.
The Raiders can still win the division.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. And of course, then we have the Kansas City side of things where, I mean, what can be said? I mean, it really is just the offense being terrible. And it's in all facets at this point.
I saw a tweet that I'm not going to be able to credit, but someone said, oh, so this is what Patrick Mahomes would have looked like on the Bears.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's that.
Yeah, it's.
Guess who's on the Kansas City Chiefs roster right away?
Chris, this is what I'm saying.
The coaching
This is what
staff.
I'm saying.
Right.
Matt Nagy's the fucking OC right now. You know?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Granted, the reason Matt Nagy got the Bears head coaching job was because he was the OC while Mahomes was being Mahomes. But
yeah, I don't know, man. It's just I want to believe that this is a real thing. That this is going to be something that we're actually going to now see unfold. That the Chiefs are going to falter here, and they're already getting to that point. Like, it is very. I would even go as far as say unlikely at this point that they get anything higher than a 3 seed. They can't get the 1 seed. That's been confirmed.
They can't get the 1, and Miami and Baltimore are already at 11 and 12. So like Miami would have to lose out, and Kansas City would have to win out for them to get a 2 seed.
Right, but then you have the Bills side of it, where if the Bills were to, if the Dolphins lose out and the Bills win out, and they face the Patriots this week, then the Bills
are also there,
and the Bills have the tiebreaker over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that like I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be higher than a 3 seed in the playoffs. So not that it isn't possible for them to play the entire playoffs at home and then make the Super Bowl still. Like there's some weird shit that could happen, but it's gonna get increasingly harder for them to potentially pull that off at this point.
And even then, like it's 1 season. You can like I don't know. I feel like that you can't write the Chiefs out entirely. They're not going to be absolute dog shit next year or anything. But it is kind of funny. Like as soon as like you get this stretch of like shit going bad, everyone's fucking jumping the bandwagon.
Of course. Well,
and I say this as a Chiefs hater currently.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah, I mean that's kind of the idea of any of these teams, is that if things go south, people are gonna stop watching or gonna want to root for other teams. Like that is the nature of the sport.
That's the summary of the entire MVP conversation this year.
Well, that too, but in sports in general, right? Like I don't know, like everyone wants to act like there's some sort of sanctity to fandom, and there isn't. Like, there's no rules. There's nothing. Like, there's no like. Oh, you must.
Oh my god!
You must only root for one team. You must root for your hometown team.
There was a guy I knew in college who was that person to a T. He was so mad. He's a Cardinals fan who lives in Illinois.
Right.
Granted, I think he's from like the part of Illinois that's closer to St. Louis, so that would make more sense.
Sure.
But the one personality trait that I remember from him was that he hated Cubs bandwagon fans. Like, he wanted people to prove the fact that people were Cubs fans, and this was, like, just after the World Series win. Because otherwise, like, oh, you're just a fake fan, you're just jumping on their bandwagon because they won the World Series. It was like, what the fuck are you on? And then the best part is that he was a Cardinals and a Yankees fan. The two winningest teams in the NL and AL, respectively.
Alright, yeah.
So,
give me a break.
Maybe don't talk.
Yeah, we've had, I think, similar discussions on the podcast before, and we're in full agreement, I think, with each other on it, where it's just like, why does fandom need rules? Fandom, the only rule that really should be in fandom is that, like, don't be a complete asshole. Like, smack talk, fine, all well and good, but, like, don't, like, I don't know, assault a fan of an opposing team. Like, that's maybe a rule of fandom. But beyond that, like, there's no, like this idea that we need to, I don't know, like, oh, we need to stick with this one team for an extended period of time through the bad and the good. Or you need to only root for one team. Or you need to only root for your local team. Like, yo, life's short. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die one day. We don't need to sit here and police how we consume a media product, which that's what sports is, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, everyone get off your fucking high horse and get over the fact that bandwagon fans exist. let them be. I can understand if people are being obnoxious about it and being like, oh, I have been a lifelong fan, and they've only been a fan for 6 months. Fine, like that's a valid thing to get annoyed by, but also just let people be and let them enjoy and root for whoever the fuck they want.
I've been a fan of the Seattle Kraken since they were established.
Right, exactly. But again, it's annoying. I'm not trying to sit here and be like, I get why people get annoyed by it, but it's also just, get over it. It's just people don't want to go through losing seasons like their teams, or like the teams that they are rooting for are going through losing seasons sometimes. So if the Chiefs are going to struggle and Chiefs fans want to bounce off of it for a while, good. It's probably better for your mental health. Like, it's fine. I'm pro mental health on that front. Like, you just don't if you don't want to go through a rough time, you leave. It's fine.
And it's funny because rough time for them is like they're still fucking.
Oh, they're going to win the division.
9-win team. They're 9-6, you know.
Yeah, they're going to win the division. They're probably going to make it to the AFC Championship game. Like, there's I understand there's a whole lot of caveats. I feel for Patriots fans right now because they went through a whole fuck ton of amazingness, and now they're in this really rough period where it's like you don't know what the future holds at this point. If you don't want to root for the Patriots anymore, you have my full permission to not root for the Patriots. You're fine. I'm not going to gatekeep you on that. Anyways. So that's that. Ravens 49ers ended up being not as interesting of a game, but interesting in a way that's like, hey, the Ravens are fucking dominant. That's maybe that storyline. And then everyone's calling for Brock Purdy's head. That's
again, one game.
Right. So, that was ultimately the interesting thing about that game. But beyond that, it's a typical week in the NFL. We move on to the final 2 weeks.
Typical week where nobody has any object permanents.
Right. Really, Matt, you say that a lot, and it never rings more true than when we were talking about the NFL sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe shit's just different now that I'm like a teacher and responsible for young people.
Yeah, but
because they don't have any.
Right. Yeah. It's real. It's human. There's a lot of human beings that just lack it, and I think I'm one of them. Some days, we all lack object permanence in a specific area.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or at least just the ability to look at something and go, wait, is this the full truth, or did something happen prior to this?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's weird, but I think that the MVP conversation was always going to be a weird conversation to have because there is a lot of good candidates to be had here, and I'm not at all upset by the back and forth for it, and we'll see. It really will come down to who has an amazing Week 18 performance, that shouldn't be what it is, but
no.
Again, like you said, it's just that we are going to have recency bias on this, and people are going to look at this game that Brock Purdy had and be like, well, he doesn't deserve the opportunity to be MVP.
It's almost like it was passed around.
Yeah.
The title was passed around, when one got defeated, it got passed along to the next quarterback who defeated them. It was Dak Prescott for a bit, and then the Eagles won, so now it was Jalen Hurts, and then the 49ers won, so now it's Brock Purdy. Yeah. And now the Ravens won, so now it's Lamar Jackson.
Right. Yeah. No. That's
even though it should be Christian McCaffrey, CMVP. I've been saying it since week 1.
Right. No. I am totally with you. I think it is going to be Christian McCaffrey at this point. I mean, right now Lamar Jackson is getting the main front of it, right?
Right.
I think that there might be. I think there is a hesitancy by the voters of MVP to give it to anyone that is not in the quarterback position,
which is stupid.
I agree, but I do think at this point it's probably gonna be Lamar. But
which is also great.
no, I mean he has been, but it's also his year has not really been on the level of impressive as other MVP performances.
No, and not even for his last MVP year.
Right, like absolutely. And I think that's why when you look at CMC and what he has been doing, someone who obviously knock on wood, but like he's not had a healthy season in a long time, and now it finally seems like he's reaching a point where he might be able to complete the season without having
2 in a row.
Right, and then being able to put up the numbers that he has been putting up is just, it's wild. It is just absolutely wild. I really think that he has been incredibly impressive. And I think that was what was taking away from Brock Purdy's argument that he should have been MVP. And now that he's had this really bad game, I think people are going to start to pay attention to who has really been the person that has been the biggest X factor for the 49ers, and it's been McCaffrey more than anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. All right. Now, let's take a break from our Week 16 discussion, and we're going to do VBBFL, the next town, McMinnville, Oregon.
How to spell?
McMinnville.
McMinnville. That's silly.
Let's see.
That's in Yamhill County.
Yams.
We got that.
The McMinnville Yams. This is actually a city that is named after McMinnville, Tennessee.
Fascinating.
So it's a sister city almost of a city in another town. All right, so is a confluence of the North and South Forks of the Yamhill River in the Willamette Valley. Has Cascade Steel as a main industry and service businesses, mutual insurance, the Contrarian Hedge Fund, Linfield University provide head education.
This place also has UFO sightings.
Oh God, including new degrees in wine studies. Interesting. Attractions include Wings and Waves Water Park, Joe Dancer Park, an evergreen of Aviation and Space Museum, the home of Howard Hughes' famed Spruce Goose flying boat.
That rules. Hold on.
The city identifies as a center of the well-developed wine industry in the Willamette Valley, which has hundreds of wineries and vineyards. Can we call them the McMinnville Vine Yams?
Vine Yams? Chris, they have the Spruce Goose. We got to do something with that.
I know, but it was. I also like the yam thing.
I mean, the yam is also cool.
All right. So I'll bite for the Spruce Goose.
Okay, because this is like an actually like cool plane. It was almost called the it was almost entirely made out. It was actually almost entirely made out of birch. But they didn't think the public would take to it being called the birch bitch, so they called it the Spruce Goose instead.
Oh. The McMinnville birch bitches.
The birch bitches.
We've already had the birch cast.
If we didn't have the birch cast last season, that would be a really funny name, actually.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, Chris.
Yes.
They have a turkey a turkey Rama, which is a turkey barbecue festival.
Oh. Well, that does fit into our yams
situation
a little bit. I mean, so that they have the Spruce Goose. They have wineries and vineyards. They're based in Yamhill County, and they have this turkey thing. It feels,
which apparently isn't a thing anymore because I found a article from March of this year. Turkey Ramen had a good run. Some will mourn its passing. The king is dead. Long live the dukes, earls, counts, barons, and other vassals, as there is no heir apparent for the crown and scepter.
Oh.
So it's not a thing anymore, I guess.
Oh. that feels very dark.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no wonder it had to end. You probably all killed all the turkeys.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I still want to pitch Vine Yams as an idea. But
is it just because
so it's that the Spruce Goose flying boat is interesting and very cool.
Yeah.
Unless we call them the Flying Yams.
See that, like, we can combine the names. That's been this season. Like, we combine things together.
No, I know. I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Right. So I think that I like the idea better of the of flying yams or spruce turkeys or
yeah.
Yamarama.
I think flying yams is something I would lean towards right now.
McMinnville flying yams.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, because we could do
goose yams, Howard yams.
I'm trying to look at the details of this.
The Yam Hills.
Has the largest wingspan of any aircraft ever flown until the twin fuselage scaled composite. Oh, what the hell? I mean, yeah, that thing does look big.
Yeah, they referenced it in a Phineas and Ferb episode.
Huh. Okay. The other name for it is the H4 Hercules. And isn't there other words for yams?
Okay. I feel like yams have been, sometimes also called sweet potatoes, but then I've heard other people say that they're not, and I'm not sure what the truth is because I don't eat them.
Okay, so let's look up, are yams and sweet potatoes the same? Yams have rough, dark brown skin that is often compared to tree bark. And their flesh is dry and starchy like a regular potato. Sweet potatoes have a smooth, reddish skin, softer flesh when cooked, and a sweet flavor. Okay. So now we know difference between yams and sweet potatoes.
Is there another name for like a type of wood that is similar to turkey, or a type of tree that we could like take that wood name and in the same vein as spruce goose do blank turkey? Pine turkeys, maple turkey, cherry turkey, oak turkey,
mahogany turkey,
McMinnville mahogany, mahogany. McMinnville mahoggerkeys.
Mahogany. Oh god, that's gonna be hard.
Mahoggerkeys.
Mahoggerkeys.
Maherkies.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to Maherkies.
When I searched types of wood, I forgot these, so it said tips of wood. Elm turkeys. Oak turkeys. Beech. Cedar. Cedar yams. Maple yams. We're gonna forget if we do yams. We're gonna forget that this was named. That if we would have named it after Yamhill County.
Yeah, but that's fine. I recognize the risk. I what is this a thing? The McMinnville Mahogany Yams.
Mahogany yams.
Yeah.
Yeah, mahogany.
Yamagany.
Yamagany. It's like they're like just off.
Yeah.
Walnut yams, maple yams, cherry yams, spruce yams.
I mean, and also the other thing too that I want to consider too is the trees that are in the area in Oregon.
That's true.
Yeah, because that would be like redwood and spruce and things like that.
Trees in Oregon. Lots of pine, fir, maple.
Okay, all right.
Cottonwood. Hemlock. Yamlock.
The Yamlocks.
The Yamlocks.
What? How do you say the tree name again?
Hemlock. Hemlock.
Oh yeah, look at those.
It's a type of Christmas tree.
Hemlock trees. Yeah, look at that. The hemlock.
Oh, sorry, it would be the western hemlock if it's in Oregon.
Okay, well that's fine. I don't mind Yamlock.
Yamlock, I think, is strong.
Yamlocks, and I feel like it's fitting that we would make around the time it's the day after Christmas when we're recording this. It would be fitting for us to have a little bit of a Christmassy name sprinkled in here. So it would be the McMinnville Yamlocks.
This is gonna be the hardest fucking name to spell because it's 2 N's and then 2 L's.
I have an idea of the colors.
Shoot.
But we have to investigate what we've done thus far to pull it off. But I'm thinking green and orange. Because
I think green and orange would be good. I think orange is distinct enough from like the more cream.
Yeah.
And I don't think we definitely haven't had a green and orange team specifically. We've had orange and teal, but we haven't had green and orange.
Yeah, we have brown and orange for the Hasburg Root Beers, and then we have cream and green from Roswell Mozzarellians. If we take if we try to differentiate the greens, I think,
and the oranges,
and the oranges, I think we could pull it off.
Yeah.
Because that's I'm thinking about the color of yams. Typically, and the color of a tree.
Most trees, yeah.
Most trees, but yes, the hemlock tree does look like a normal tree in that it's green.
Yeah.
So, there you go. All right, I'm happy with that. The Yamlocks. Will I remember what locks part is? Probably not, but that's fine. That's fine. That's the nature of the beast.
Should we tell Walsh that it's related to the hemlock tree before he draws the logo, or is he gonna carve a lock out of a yam?
You know what? I'm okay with running the risk. Because I think that would be inherently hilarious.
Now, if he listens to this,
that ruins it.
We revealed the secrets of the good place. He can't
right. Yeah.
His sins are now his own.
Right. Exactly.
What he chooses to do.
Right. But for now, I'm okay with just we'll just present this. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, there you go. 6.
I'm glad that we kept going.
Yes.
Because I think Yamlocks is a strong name.
Yes. I think that ended in the right place. I agree.
Yep.
And so there you go. The McMinnville Yamlocks. All right. Now, let us go ahead to the Week 17 picks.
I have some playoff scenarios. Do you want to do ours first?
Well, let's just talk about the picks real quick. We did tie last week. Matt, you took the edge for the week though because you got your Chaos Ravens over.
Home of challenge piss scene. Fuck you, Baltimore.
What?
Big Bill Hells.
I am so confused by so many.
I've played you Big Bill Hells before.
Yes. Yes, but you say "fuck you, Baltimore." I guess is my confusion because Baltimore did win.
They did.
all right.
I was celebrating.
All right, cool. Whatever. You got your Chaos, and so
that's a good response to my nonsense.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
It's whatever.
We got two. We both got our guarantees. I did not end up getting my Chaos, so that's why you had the edge. We both went 9-7 on the week. And then the overall totals thus far for this pick season, Matt, you're sitting at 144.96 with 46 points. I'm sitting at 135, 105, and 27 points. And now, Matt, what are the playoff scenarios going into Week 17?
All right, so it is important to note, shoutouts playoffscenarios.com did get it updated by Tuesday, which is cool.
Yeah.
I'll start with the NFC. Already, there are 4 NFC teams that cannot make the playoffs. That is the Giants, the Commanders, the Cardinals, and the Panthers. Additionally, the Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, Packers, and Bears cannot win their division because the 49ers and Lions have their divisions clinched.
Correct.
Which, go Lions. Let's go Lions.
Yeah.
The 49ers, Eagles, Lions, and Cowboys are all in the playoffs no matter what for the NFC. San Francisco can clinch a first-round bye if they win, and Philly and Detroit both lose. All 3 teams still alive for that number 1 overall seed. Philadelphia can clinch their division if they win and Dallas loses, making it close.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay can win the NFC South if they win. Los Angeles will clinch a playoff berth if they win and Seattle loses. Or if they win and Minnesota and Green Bay tie. And then Seattle actually can also get into the playoffs if they win and Minnesota and Green Bay tie. So Seattle, like, a win doesn't put them in, but if Minnesota and Green Bay both tie, Seattle will and Seattle wins, they will get in.
Okay.
For the AFC?
I'm sorry. Real quick,
yes.
Packers and Vikings, is it basically I missed if you said if either team loses, they're out? Is that the scenario?
Not necessarily.
Okay, just curious.
Yep. Not necessarily yet. But you know what? That might be the case. I was just looking at clinching scenarios. I was not looking at elimination scenarios, but maybe I should.
No, yeah, I'm just curious because like that. I'm curious if that's going to be a playoff elimination game because it certainly feels like it.
Yep, and you know what? Here's the elimination. If Minnesota loses and Seattle and LA both win, Minnesota will be out.
Yeah.
Green Bay will be eliminated if they lose and Seattle or Los Angeles win.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of a difference there.
So they could so if Seahawks and the Rams win their games this week, it is a elimination.
Minnesota and Green Bay are both out.
It's basically if one of them loses.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so my point was that's something that game is going to ultimately be a playoff game.
Pretty much.
For those 2 teams.
Yep. Also, Atlanta and New Orleans can both be knocked out if they lose their games.
Yeah.
Or if Tampa Bay wins.
Right. Yeah.
They're knocked out. Tampa Bay wins. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Tampa Bay wins, then that's all. That's what you wrote. All right. And then the others don't matter that much.
Yeah,
all right, AFC. Eliminated, we have the Jets, the Titans, the Chargers, and the Patriots have all been eliminated. Baltimore and Miami are still the only 2 teams that have clinched a playoff berth. which is wild. The fact that the Browns have not clinched a playoff berth with 10 wins is insane to me. But it's true.
There you go.
Baltimore can clinch the AFC North if they win or Cleveland loses. And if they win, they will also get a first round bye. These results are not totally complete, but I think there's enough here to establish it. Miami can clinch the AFC East if they win, but will not guarantee the first round bye if they win. I think they would still need to win their last game because they're a game behind Baltimore. KC can clinch the AFC West if they win and Denver and the Raiders both lose. Jacksonville can win the AFC South if they win and Indy and Houston both lose. Cleveland will get into the playoffs this week if they win, or Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Jacksonville lose on their own, or if Houston and Indy both lose. So if one of those teams loses pretty much, then Cleveland will be in the playoffs.
Okay. There you go.
And by the way, Cleveland still alive for the number 1 overall seed.
Right. It's between the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Ravens for the number 1 overall seed, which is nuts.
But if the Browns lose this week, or if I think they probably need the Dolphins to win and then both teams to lose next week and Cleveland wins out, and then that's how they get it.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. It's
if they're all 12-5, Cleveland will get it.
I mean, it's not a hard. It's not an easy stretch for the Dolphins, who have to play. It's the Ravens and Bills that are left.
Yeah.
Ravens, of course, then that means they play the Dolphins, and then they have the Steelers. But that you throw everything out with those kind of games. And then the Browns, their road is the Jets and Bengals, which
it's possible.
That's like. If the Bengals of last weekend show up and the Jets are not nearly as good, even though that they have pulled off some wins here and there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. It's a genuine toss-up to see how that race is going to come to an end here.
And all this doesn't matter if the Ravens win this week. So
right, correct. So there,
all right,
you go.
Speaking of the Brownies,
yeah, let's get into it. Thursday Night Football. It is the New York Jets versus the Cleveland Browns. For some reason, my picks did not save on here. Oh, never mind. I refreshed it. We're good. The Browns, of course, are sitting at a very interesting spot, like Matt just said, in terms of being on right now a wildcard team, most likely the 5th seed. But if things get weird, they have a chance of being the number 1 overall seed going into the playoffs. And then you have the Jets, who are limited, did almost blow out the Commanders, and then the Commanders came back, took the lead, and luckily the Jets did get it done. What's gonna happen in this just uncomfortable Thursday Night Football game?
I think the Browns will take it because Joe Flacco is now an MVP candidate.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm saying uncomfortable here is the fact that Joe Flacco probably should have been the Jets quarterback down the stretch here. And Jets did not take the opportunity to decide to stick with Zach Wilson. And now Joe Flacco is playing very, very well over the course of the last few weeks. I agree. I'm taking the Browns.
All right. Fascinating matchup: Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys. Both likely playoff teams. In fact, one of them is already in the playoffs. I lied. Both of these teams are in the playoffs. So this could be a nice matchup going forward. Detroit having clinched the division for the first time in 30 years. Let's go Lions! So proud of you.
Yeah.
Do you think that they will be able to topple Dallas?
Lions, I really love that this team finally has an NFC North title. It's the first time they ever won the NFC North. They last time they had won a division, it was the NFC Central. I want to believe that the Lions are just going to keep on doing well and winning these games, but I also feel like I'm think back to when the Lions faced a team like the Ravens early in the year when they got the doors blown off of them. I just feel like something like that could happen in this game, and I think the Cowboys, even though they did lose the game against the Dolphins, I still feel like they're a better team at home than they are away, and their numbers show it. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys, and I'm gonna guarantee it as well.
I will defer. I'm gonna keep believing in the Lions, although I do like the Cowboys team a lot this year as well. This is gonna be a good game. I want to see the Lions win, so I'm gonna pick them.
Okay. The New England Patriots versus the Buffalo Bills. Patriots.
This is a Monday. That was a Monday Night Football game on Saturday night, by the way.
Right, because that makes sense. That was the last Monday Night Football game before the playoffs that aired on Monday night. They're basically moving the ESPN broadcast to Saturday for the next 2 weeks. So the next up, the Patriots and the Bills. Patriots did get the win on Sunday Night Football, which was NFL Network, so it wasn't really the brand Sunday Night Football. Anyway, this is the weird part of the season. But yeah, Patriots got the win. They beat the Broncos, which was kind of a surprising upset in its own right. And now they're going up against a Bills team that feels like they're getting right and doing well at the right time. What do you think's going to happen here?
I agree with all of those statements. I think that the Bills will win.
I believe so as well.
I don't know how to feel about this game. The Atlanta Falcons take on the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears, for the first time, took care of business like very handily, it felt like. Maybe against the Lions, but they did manage to beat the Cardinals. Meanwhile, Falcons also took fucking care of business against the Colts and used the players that they drafted highly effectively. Weird, Arthur. Weird how that works out. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to feel about this game. Both feature promising teams held back by awful coaching. Who do you think is going to win, Chris?
I'm gonna go Bears. Feel like they've played very well last few weeks. I know the Falcons had to come back and won that game very handily against the Colts.
Yeah.
I respect that, but I don't think Lightning's gonna strike twice for this Falcons squad. I feel like they're just kind of destined to not only lose but then get rid of their head coach. Bears should also be in that same trajectory, but I don't know. I feel a little bit more hope watching the Bears than I do the Falcons at the moment, so I'm going to go Bears.
I'm going to go fuck myself and guarantee the Bears.
There you go. There you go. I like that.
We could be a 9-win team right now, Chris.
I get it.
We could be a 9-win team right now and be the solid 6 seed.
Yeah. I totally understand that for sure. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, wait. Yes, the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. The Raiders are playing very well as of late. They dropped the 60 burger on the Chargers and then took care of business against the Chiefs. They're now going up against a Colts squad that had been playing decently, and in the last few weeks they've kind of faltered. What do you think's going to happen in this game?
I want to believe in a world that we can still believe that the Chiefs won't make the playoffs. And in order for that to happen, the Las Vegas Raiders need to win this game, so I'm picking the Raiders.
I'm going to defer and pick the Colts, but in the hopes that I'm wrong.
All right, next up, Los Angeles Rams versus the New York Giants. Rams have really gotten it together. Really solid team that will most likely make the playoffs. New York Giants, unfortunately, I think the Tommy DeVito train has fallen off its course.
Yeah.
Much like the Josh Dobbs one did earlier this season. He was benched for Tyrod. Do you think that they will have a chance against the Rams?
No, I think Tyrod Taylor's probably going to get the start here, and I as much as I believe in Tyrod, I feel like the Rams are playing very well, and I think the Rams are going to be in position to get a playoff berth when it's all said and done. So I'm going to go Rams.
I will also go Rams.
All right, next up, the Arizona Cardinals versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is an ugly looking matchup. The Eagles, of course, have not been playing very well, but finally got off of their skid they've been on after winning on Christmas Day against the Giants. And the Cardinals, meanwhile, just got their shit taken in, kicked in rather, by the Bears. I would imagine we know what the result's going to be, but do you think something weird's going to happen between the battle of the birds?
It always can, but the Eagles were able to get right, and the Eagles do a couple things very, very well, and the matter of stopping them is, can you stop these one or two things that they do really well? And I don't think the Cardinals are going to be able to, so I'll stay with the Eagles.
Same here. I'll go Eagles.
All right. New Orleans Saints take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Saints need this to stay alive for the division and really for the playoffs too. Buccaneers might keep Baker Mayfield for the future. Baker's been playing very well, and the team and players seem to really like each other. And this is you would, when the season started, I don't think anyone was expecting the winner of the NFC South to potentially be like a 9-7 team. Or a 9-8, 10-7 team. The Buccaneers have the ability to do that. Do you think they will close the deal?
I mean, it certainly seems possible. I believe that they have the Saints and Panthers in their last 2 weeks here. Yeah, I think that this is the Bucs' division to lose, and it would be up to them to be the ones to lose it. I think they take care of business here. I'm going Bucs.
I'm in heavy agreement. I'll take the Bucs as well.
All right, next up, the San Francisco 49ers at the Washington Commanders. 49ers had their first stumble in a while, losing to the Ravens. Meanwhile, the Commanders nearly came back against the Jets, could not get the job done. Much has been said about Brock Purdy, and what, if the Ravens are going or 49ers are going to make the right choice moving forward, keeping him as the starter, which is insane to even have that discussion, I think. But whatever. What do you think is going to happen in this game?
I am going to think that the 49ers will once again win a football game.
I believe so as well.
It's so long since they've won one.
Yeah.
They're starved. I'm a piece of shit.
All right.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers taking the Jacksonville Jaguars. Didn't mention that the Buccaneers fucking dismantled the Jaguars and made them look like frauds. I still want to believe in the Jaguars team, and they're facing the Panthers, but all of the AFC South frontrunners right now are 8-7, and one slip up could not only cost you the division, but could cost you a playoff spot. Do you think the Jaguars have what it takes to keep themselves alive?
Yeah, Jaguars has been really bad. It's not just been against the Bucs. They've been bad for weeks now.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna win this game, but I also think that I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to see the Panthers get their third win of the year, and they have the room to do it. I think. They do have the Cardinals nipping at their heels for the number 1 overall seed, but
yeah,
I think the Panthers could get this win here, but I'm gonna stick with the Jaguars.
I am sticking with the Jaguars, but it's not in a super confident way like I would hope that it was.
Next up, this is a surprising game to be at 1:00 and not at Sunday Night Football, or at least at 4:00.
Yeah.
But whatever. Miami Dolphins at Baltimore Ravens, battle between two teams looking to get to the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. Another win by the Ravens means they get it. It's theirs to keep. Meanwhile, the Dolphins, if they win, I think essentially make it impossible for the Bills to catch them in the AFC East, and so they clinch their division. And another win against the Bills the following week would mean that they themselves will get the number 1 overall seed. It would be very interesting to see how this all kind of unfolds. What do you think's going to happen here, Matt?
I believe in the Ravens. I will take the Ravens.
I, as well, will pick the Ravens.
You know, Miami did beat a more title team in the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are another team that can't beat good teams, so...
Right, and the Ravens just beat the 49ers, who we all have been saying has one of the best offenses ever.
And defenses.
and defenses, right. Ravens just completely destroyed them on both sides of the ball, so...
Yep.
I think Ravens are going to take care of business.
All right, Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. I need to check C.J. Stroud injury update.
I think he's going to be cleared to play this week.
I'm guessing that he will, which will be big for the Texans. Titans did play pretty well against Seattle, but I don't know how they will continue to do. They're also like Will Levis was also like out for last week, so he might be back. Might have Tannehill again. Who do you think is going to win?
I think that I've been on the bandwagon for the Texans when they have C.J. Stroud. Unfortunately, that he's not been there the last few weeks, and therefore they've kind of slipped out of contention a little bit. I think I'm worried that even if C.J. Stroud were to play in this game, I don't know if he'll be 100% back or if he will be able to like play at the level that he has been playing. I know this hurts what was my mid-season prediction about the Texans, but I just think that it's a little bit further away from here. I think that prediction was made weeks ago, and obviously things change all the time. So I'm gonna team chaos the Titans in this scenario.
Wow, all right.
I
respect it.
I think the Titans are a team that can be frisky and have been a team that is always kind of a berserker team in a lot of ways, and I absolutely see a scenario where the Titans can win this game.
Remember 2 years ago when they were the number 1 seed?
Yeah.
That was crazy. I'm picking the Texans.
There you go.
They did just 2 weeks ago. They did take the Oilers title back.
Right.
Right. Which was funny.
Yeah. So that's the other side of this coin here. But like, I don't know, division rivals that play each other so close to each other, that's always a weird recipe. It kind of happened with the Broncos and Chiefs this year, where they played each other twice in 3 weeks, and that they ended up splitting the series. Like that, I like these things just happen. Yeah, that's why I'm going with the Titans. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, of course, are as Matt said earlier, got the win against the Titans. Steelers really took care of business against the Bengals. A battle between two teams trying to get into the playoffs in their respective conferences. I also feel like the Steelers and Seahawks play each other frequently at the end of December when I know they don't technically play each other frequently because they're in different conferences, but like whenever these two teams have faced, I feel like it's always near the end of the season. I don't know why, that's just in my brain. But yeah, so this is going to be, for one team, for both teams, this is massive for their playoff chances, though, despite it being an interconference matchup. What do you think's going to happen?
I will take the Seahawks.
I, too, will take the Seahawks.
Cool. Anything that can help keep the Packers out of the playoffs, I will choose that option.
Sure.
All right, Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. Broncos did, unfortunately, lose to the Patriots on Sunday Night Football. What did the Chargers do last week?
They almost beat the Bills.
That's right. Yeah, it was pretty close. So you saw some life out of the Chargers.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll be able to overtake the Broncos?
As much as I do believe in the head coaching bump, and I think it's evidence that they, even though they did not get the win, you could definitely see that they're a little bit of a different team. Now I think that it could come to fruition here, where they beat a Broncos team that just lost a really bad game against the Patriots, and yet I'm gonna go Broncos. Because I still feel like the Broncos have too much talent on that team to really let this season completely slip away after it seemed like they had rebounded. So I'm gonna go Broncos.
I will do the same.
Okay. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, this is the primary 4:00 game. I guess the Chargers and Broncos are as well. Would we want to watch this, or would we want to watch Ravens Dolphins at 4:25? I don't know.
Well, maybe when the season started, or before the season started.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not. Yeah, right now it's not looking as good. This Chiefs team looking for just a really nice win to just erase what happened this past week against their rival Raiders. Bengals, kind of similar situation where they just got demolished by the Steelers. Looking to get a rebound, stay in this playoff hunt. Obviously, the Bengals need this more than the Chiefs, but who's the team that's going to win this, Matt?
I want to see how far it can go. I'm team casting the Bengals.
All right.
I want to see how far the complaining about being a middling team can go.
It would be fascinating to see the Chiefs fall. I don't think it's going to be out of the playoff picture, but I think it, at the very least, I don't know, if one of the AFC South teams gets hot, could it be possible that they end up being a 4 seed? There's a window there that could.
Yeah, there is. I mean, they're all 8-7. So if Kansas City loses one of these, they'd probably tie with the winner of the AFC South. The winner of the AFC South is probably going to be 10 wins.
Right.
So if the Chiefs lose one, they would be tied with that. If they lost both, then they would be the 4 seed, unless the Raiders won, in which case they would be out of the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs.
Yeah. All right, and now Sunday Night Football: Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings. Both teams are 7-8. The team that loses this will probably not be in the playoffs. Green Bay has had an atrocious defense. However, the Vikings have lost T.J. Hockenson for the season, MCL and ACL tear, as of 15 minutes ago.
Rough.
Do you think that will spell doom for the Vikings, or do you think that do you think the Packers' defense will still be bad enough?
It feels like it's going to be an ugly matchup between a Vikings offense that has not had great quarterback play and a Packers defense that has just been it's been very hard for them to do much of anything.
Yep.
But I've been back and forth about this. I think it's a close game. I'm gonna go Packers.
I will defer.
Okay.
Take the Vikings.
Matt, you and I have very consistently had 5 games or more. 4 to 5 games a week that we have disagreed on.
That's very funny, I think.
It is just very consistent at this point. But oh well, we'll see what happens this week. I am fascinated to see how the playoff scenarios will play out. I will also next week, as it will be our final week of the NFL season, or regular season, I will come presenting all the different types of playoff scenarios that there will be. Matt will present the playoff scenarios in terms of who needs to win, who needs to lose. I'll present the potential playoff matchups as well, what we could be seeing come the second week of January. So, very exciting stuff. We're nearing the end. Anything can happen. Thank you all so much for joining us. This, of course, will be our last episode of 2023. Thank you all for making it a very good one. And until
next time. We'll see you guys next week.
Good night and good ball.